Wow. Okay. Lawlers, welcome back to another beginner champ guide. Today we're going to be covering off Caitlyn, basically the sniper of the Rift. Huge sniper rifle, a lot of cool abilities and headshot mechanics that let you pump out a lot of damage and hopefully one-shot some people. For this guide, we're actually going to be covering off Lethality Caitlyn, almost like an assassin one-shot build that you might want to try and play in the mid lane and have some fun with, kind of that off-meta build. So let's jump into the runes here. Runes for Caitlyn mid lethality build. We're going to be running Dark Harvest. It just helps with that one-shot potential later on in the game as you stack up this rune. And then of course the ultimate hunter, so we can press R a lot more often and grab a bunch of those juicy one-shot headshots. So the other runes here, even in the secondary tree, I mean, I'm running Absolute Focus and Gathering Storm. It's really preference, play around, have some fun, see which ones work well for you. Really the two you want to grab here for sure are Dark Harvest and Ultimate Hunter. So in terms of the build for Lethality Caitlyn mid, there's a few options you can go. Always start with the Doran's Blade start. That's just the best in terms of stats, I feel like, for Caitlyn. And then in terms of the lethality, we do not want to build any of these items. These are for Caitlyn ADC bot lane, a little bit more right click heavy to deal damage through your auto attacks. We actually want to deal a bunch of damage through our Q and our R. So we're going to build lethality. So you're going to go into the items. You're going to click on the assassin page here and you're going to choose between Duskblade of Drakthar or the Eclipse. Okay, these two items here you can play around with, see which one you prefer. The Duskblade has a little bit more attack damage and plays into more ability haste, so you can fire your Q and your R off a little bit more often. And then the Eclipse plays into a little bit more of a sustain type of build, an anti-burst build. So in terms of what I run, I like to experiment recently anyway with the Eclipse. I think the poke mages that you're going to run into in the mid lane and the assassins, this is a little bit of a better item for those matchups. So you're going to rush the Eclipse. You're still going to pick up the Berserker's Greaves because you are an auto attack based champion at the end of the day, and you're going to want those extra attack speed stats from the boots. And then in terms of the third item, again, very personal preference and game state dependent. There's a lot of builds that you can go depending on your matchup and the team comps. The Serpent's Fang is popular if there's a lot of shields. It's also a pretty cheap item, so that gives you a really good 2-item spike. You can also go the Collector. This is a very stock standard here. Works well with your ultimate because if you damage someone below 5% health, it's just going to execute them, so that stacks well with your ultimate. And then Ghostblade is another great option. You know, anytime you're playing an ADC with essentially no mobility, getting that Yomu's Ghostblade active to run around the map a little bit faster can be advantageous. But for the purposes of this one here, we're just going to run the Collector. I think if you're a beginner playing Caitlyn, this is just one of the easier builds to run. It's very straightforward. You know what kind of damage you're going to dish out and helps you get those kills. So these are your three items here: the Eclipse, the Berserker's Greaves, and then the Collector. If you can get to these three items by 20 minutes, you're going to have a very, very fun time. If it takes you a little bit longer, that's cool. But yeah, we'll talk about how to play lane phase in a little bit. We'll do a little tutorial there. So that's items, that's runes. Let's jump into the river against a practice dummy now and just quickly cover off her basic abilities, her ultimate, and then like I said, we'll jump into a lane phase here and combo all those together and show you guys how you can play the lane phase. Okay, cool. So we're in the river here now. We're going to talk about her passive really quick, headshot. So every 6 attacks, Caitlyn's going to fire a headshot. That's basically going to mean it deals extra damage. Okay, so you can keep an eye on that basically just by checking out the bottom here. I don't know why this keeps getting, there we go. Headshot count, right? Caitlyn is charging up for a headshot. So right now it's at 0. Every time you auto attack something, it's just going to start counting up. 4, 5, 6. When you're on your 6th one, you're going to see headshot ready with that red and orange icon with the bullet, and your rifle is going to be charged up with a little bit of a glow. That means that your next auto attack is going to deal extra headshot damage. So that one was 364 damage on that auto versus the 212 on a normal auto. So this is a really big part of Caitlyn's kit, and in lane phase, especially early on, you want to try and make sure you're hitting the enemy champion with those 6 shot headshots to really kind of maximize your lane prowess and damage them, and yeah, basically win a bunch of trades. Her auto attack range is also fairly good, especially early on compared to much of the mid lane matchups that you're going to have. You will not really get out auto ranged by anyone, so you should be able to walk up and land those 6 headshots on them whenever you want. Okay, so that's the passive. There's other parts of this passive here that basically say that if you land your W or E on an enemy champion, you'll also instantly get that headshot bonus attack damage. So we'll talk about how to use that with your WE in a second. But the first ability you're going to learn is Caitlyn, and the one that you're going to max out is your Q, Piltover Peacemaker. She basically just fires a projectile. It's a skill shot, so you do have to have some skill in hitting this, but it deals damage to units in a line, so even if there was more than one here, you can damage both of them. After it hits the first target, these little wings open up on the side of the bullet, and it kind of deals a little bit of a wider array of damage. So, you know, this is a good tool for clearing out minion waves, hitting champs through minion waves. It also is great because its range is longer than your auto attack range. So this is how close, at least right now, I have to stand to hit them with autos. But with the Q, you can stand a little bit further back and still hit them. So my one bit of advice on this for beginners is don't try and use the Q when you're already in auto attack range, like by pressing it like this. You can see there's that bit of an animation wind up where she gets into this stance and fires the bullet. You don't want to do that while you're in auto attack range, because if it's a melee champ or an assassin, you're going to give them a big window of time to jump onto you and start damaging you. You want to try and use the Q when you're further away, and it's really, really safe to get into that animation and hopefully hit them from long range. This is your basic ability that's basically a sniper, okay? So try and use this from outside of auto attack range. Some basic scenarios for that would be if you're trying to push a minion wave and base and you want to do it at a safe level, you can hit the wave and the champion from far away and then get a recall off. If they're under tower and you just want to poke them without ever risking taking tower aggro, you can just fire Qs at them and have some fun trying to hit them. But just don't do this in auto attack range. Don't be in a trade like this, auto attacking, kiting, and then stop to cast a Q. Okay? Alright, next ability that you're going to pick up in lane is going to be the 90 caliber net. This matches a short dash with the ability to potentially do extra headshot damage if you hit them with the net projectile. So Caitlyn's going to fire out a net. If you hit the target, you can see there, it marks them for a headshot. So we'll just do that again so you guys can see the animation. Right? And the passive means that if you mark them with your W or E for a headshot, you can actually auto attack them from very far away. So great tool to, again, snipe people from long range here if you can land it. Just like your Q though, you can miss it. It is a skill shot. You can see it's very easy to miss this. So it will take some time in getting used to knowing the range that you can hit it, and also the hitbox that you can hit it as well. It's a little bit wider than it shows, right? But you can see there it kind of missed. If you get a bit closer, sometimes it hits, right? So just experiment with that, get to know it. Great way to maximize your damage, and the dash is really, really huge in dodging or engaging. My big tip with the engage here is a lot of people don't realize that you can use the E behind you to basically close distance, get closer to the enemy champ and land a few of those extra autos if you're within kill range. Okay, so you can use it defensively to disengage and get a headshot off, or you can use it offensively to get in closer and kind of close that distance and try and get a kill. Okay, alright, the W here, the Yordle snap trap. She's going to put down basically a little cupcake trap. If someone's standing on it, it's going to root them for a second and mark them for a headshot. So you're going to max this ability second after Q. You just want to be able to have the utility to put these down a bunch of times. You can put 2 down at a time, I believe. Oh, sorry, 3 maybe active at once. You can put 3 down at once, and then you can store a couple. So it's just good in lane. Like if you were in lane here, oh, I don't know why we can't move. If you were in lane here, you know, playing Caitlyn mid could be tough. You could get ganked a lot, so you could put a couple traps here. You know, just in an area where you think you might get ganked. If someone jumps onto them, you'll get vision too. So it's not a real ward, but it does provide you some vision if someone steps on it, and you can headshot them. You know, conversely, you could put them in this river down here. and kind of guard yourself against anybody coming in from the bot side river if you didn't have any wards on. You could even put it in front of you on the tower here if you were trying to farm safely and you didn't want someone to jump on you. Just put them there and farm over here for a bit, right? This is basically a line of CC that you can create if you use the 3 traps effectively. Okay, another way you could do it if you want to stop an invade in your jungle, you know, just put 3 traps there. And if you're trying to grab a objective with your jungler on this side or on the other side, if you were, you know, if you're a red side and you're trying to grab Rift, put 3 traps there, right? Get creative with it, see where you want to put them, but it's a great tool, again, to add some CC to fights and to also add extra damage with your headshot, okay? Because if you put that on and it hits them, big time damage. Okay, so those are your 3 basic abilities. There's not really any, you know, basic level combos that you can do with Caitlyn. There are some, of course, some advanced animation cancels with the WE and headshot mechanic, but we're not going to get into that. All you'd be looking to do really as Caitlyn mid is auto attack, fire some Qs off when they're low, see if you can poke them. If they get a little close to you, just save your E to disengage while you're learning Caitlyn, right? Like, just save your E just to disengage, try and just land autos and Qs from range, and then E to disengage, and then get used to using your Ws kind of creatively in choke points so you can avoid ganks. And also, if someone tries to close the distance on you, if this guy was running straight at you, you could E, hit him with a headshot, put a trap down, and keep running backwards and try and cover your escape. It's really, really good to put a trap not directly on them, but in between you and the champion so that they'd have to run around to try and catch you. Okay? So that's the way you'd want to use your W, kind of creatively and defensively. Now, the ultimate here, the really big piece of playing Caitlyn Lethality, is of course the ultimate, the ace in the hole. She takes a moment to basically snipe somebody, right? She lines up a shot and hits them in the head. So it can be cast from a pretty good range. You can see here in the mini map on the bottom right of my screen with the blue circle, as long as you have vision of them. So if I don't have vision of the target, of course I can't target them, but once I have vision, all I have to do is take my mouse, hover it over the target, and then press R, and I'm going to line up that headshot and deal a bunch of damage. Okay, early on it may not kill people, it may not really execute them if they're, you know, even at 25% health, but as you pick up lethality items, as you grab Dark Harvest stacks, this is going to start to decimate people. You can literally just run from mid lane while you're playing her, and then like run halfway towards top side, and, you know, basically get a gank off on top by pressing R on the enemy champion. Okay, cool. So that's the gist of her abilities. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else we need to cover off here. I guess important to note, if you do have vision, again, you can cast this R over walls, so don't be afraid to shoot this R if there's a wall between you and the champion. That's fine. The only other thing important to note on this is, of course, an enemy champion can block that headshot. So you do have to be a little bit strategic with when you want to fire that R at a low target. Try and make sure there's no one that's just right next to them that can easily jump in front and block that damage. But guys, that's about it. There's a few creative uses for your E with that short dash. You can go through some walls, not all walls. So I'd, again, just play around with which walls you feel comfortable going through if you're trying to escape ganks or engage on people. Play in her mid lane, you know, you're basically just going to use it in lane as a disengage or an engage. So let's jump now into the lane phase and have some fun trading against an enemy bot lane champ, and talk about your early lane phase. Okay, so while we wait for minions to spawn and get to lane here, let's just quickly talk about our strategy in mid lane as Caitlyn, okay? You don't have a lot of escapes, and that means it's very dangerous for you to play mid lane as a very squishy champion in terms of getting ganked. So we don't really want to push the wave until we're ready to recall, and we can push the wave pretty effectively with our Q because it deals damage in terms of a straight line through everything that it passes through. So in lane, we're going to try and poke the enemy champion with our 6th auto, our headshot auto, every time it's up, and with auto attacks in general, if that's okay. And then when it comes time to recall, because we have some gold or we want to rotate to an objective with our jungler or maybe fight for a scuttle or a dragon, then we'll push the wave out with with Q. Other than that, we're just going to hold our W and our E to play very defensively and stay alive, because for us it's all about getting to items and then pressing R on people post level 6 to grab those kills and headshots. So you can see here, I'm against a Morgana. She has pretty good wave push, but I'm not going to try and shove the wave early. I'll auto attack her if she gives me the opportunity to, because of my auto attack range, but then I'm not going to shove the wave out. Okay, I would prefer for her to shove into me and I can play safer at my turret. That's why I'm not using Q quite yet on her. Okay, I'm just going to try and hit her with auto attacks, and with the auto attacks I'm not hitting her with autos in her own wave, because then I'm going to draw a bunch of aggro and then I'm going to take a lot of damage for that. So I'm going to pick up her E second. You can see there I threw that auto because I'm not standing in a big wave, so I feel confident enough to throw that auto. I have my 6th auto ready. I just step up and hit her with that one again. Okay, so that's the basic early game of Caitlyn here. You can see we can really poke from far away with autos. Very disgusting 6-shot capacity there. And now that she's low and this minion wave is stacking, now I can try and have some fun and snipe her out with Qs, just like that. Okay, so that's how your early lane phase is going to go as Caitlyn. You're going to try and play safe, land some cheeky autos when it's possible, and then you're going to try and get aggressive and hit her with some autos and maybe a Q if she gets to within kill range. That's 6th auto, you can see. Try and throw a Q if you want. I was a little bit late on that. And this is perfect. This is a perfect lane state as Caitlyn right here. It's frozen on your side. You already got them basically to within kill range. You can chill and grab your gold and get to your item and just harvest those Dark Harvest stacks. So we're going to wait for her to come back to lane here. Do the same strategy. I might crash these 2 waves when they stack here. And again, if you don't know what that means, that's cool, guys. It doesn't matter. You're just trying to slowly push waves in by only last hitting with Caitlyn so you can keep safe on your side of the map. That's essentially what we're trying to do. When I say push wave, what that means is there's a big enough wave built up now that we can just shove this pretty safely without worrying about her trading in our massive minion wave, and then if we wanted to, we could recall and spend our gold. We don't have a lot of gold to spend right now, so instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to have some fun poking her here under tower with Qs and autos, just like that. We already got her to half health, right? So we're going to use our autos and our Q while she's under tower trying to farm to poke her a little bit harder. Okay, so here again, I want to try and save that 6th shot if I can. You won't be able to do it every time, but when I'm out of auto attack range, you can basically use your Qs to try and hit them from far away. Okay, now they're trading damage. I did miss some last hits on minions, so in certain circumstances, it'll be better to trade and push them out of lane if you see an opportunity to get a lot of damage on them. But whatever gives you the most gold, that's what you want to be doing, okay? So if it's a kill, if it's denying them gold and getting you ahead, if it's getting cannon minions, which are worth a lot of gold, whichever gets you the most fed in terms of gold income, that's what you want to be focusing on. Now early on, pre 5 minutes, you can see it's really tough to take turret plates. It has a little bit of extra armor before 5 minutes, but after that, if you get good at poking the enemy champion and you're ahead in items and gold, it will be very easy to take some of those plates as long as you have an eye on where the jungler is, or you're pretty confident in your ability to E and W and get away. So here you can see we're going to just get out of that W range, land a headshot on her. We're out of auto attack range, so I throw a Q at her. One more auto, and now while she deals with that wave, we can recall. Ideally, you want 1100 gold before you back, because that's going to give you a serrated Dirk. That's your first major power spike is Lethality Caitlyn. So we're going to try and wait for that. You can see another headshot there. I'm going to fire a Q because I'm out of auto attack range, and that dealt her enough damage. Now, I can't R her because I don't see her, but if I walk up and I get a little bit of vision on her, doesn't seem like I can right now, I could press R. So it's just important to remember that you need vision of the champion to press R. In this case, we did lose out on a kill, but we didn't really have level 6 anyway. So we'll pick up a plate here before we back. Throw out the Q. Try and clear out this minion wave before you recall, obviously. Get all of that gold if you can. And then we'll go back and get our serrated Dirk. Okay, so pretty straightforward lane phase. Again, I know this is a bot game, so there's not a lot of jungle pressure, but really until we were pushed up under her turret and she was at 25% health, there's really not a ton of areas where we could have got ganked there. So having flash and heal and your E and your W does help avoid one of those first ganks. You might have to play a little bit safer if you happen to burn one of those summoners. So we're building into the Eclipse. We can pick up a pair of boots here. Extra mobility with that serrated dirk is a perfect first back and buy. Of course, if you get somehow nastily fed before you recall once with a kill or 2 kills or something, you can pick up that Vamp Scepter and really go to town when you go back to lane. But even this serrated dirk will be pretty decent in terms of our damage now on autos and Qs and our R to this Morgana. So we're going to see if we can catch her with a few autos, just like we've been doing. Nothing crazy, no big outplays yet in terms of combos. We're just trying to auto attack her, use our 6th shot on her whenever we can. So here you can see I have my 6th shot ready. So I'll E into her to hit that shot. It's just so much damage that I'm going to burn my E to make sure I get that off. And then slow pushing this wave out until we're ready to really fight her. So you use the Q when you're out of auto attack distance, and then you could follow it up with the R and grab those kills. Now this is still early days right now. We haven't really had a chance to roam and try and affect another lane with our R. But essentially you have kind of like a mini global ult with your R as Caitlyn. It is dangerous to face check bushes and roam early game until you have a jungler close by. So if you do happen to get a kill and you have a wave, I would just get gold from the turrets. It's a little bit of a safer option than like running into the jungle or trying to roam to top or bot and like running into a Kha'Zix or a Shaco and just like instantly dying still because you're squishy. So I would just focus on taking plates as Caitlyn mid. Get your gold that way or killing your lane opponent early. So you can see here she's trying to engage. I'm not using my E on her yet. I can just use autos. There's no point in using the E yet. You're saving that as a defensive ability to avoid a gank if you need to, and then throwing a Q when you're out of range, okay, for autos. So maxing out that W second. If I suspected that there was, you know, a gank coming or I wanted to play safe, you could ward top side like this and play towards top side in the lane. That'll help you avoid getting ganked. And then with her recalled here, you can see we're just going to shove this wave out, use Q on the whole wave. Single autos on the rest of the creeps will kind of get them down. And then we can take a little bit more plates now from the gold. I'm still not roaming top or bottom, okay? There's more gold guaranteed here from killing these minions and taking these plates. Sometimes your team may flame you, hey, why aren't you rotating? But like, just as an example, after I clear out this minion wave, if I were to roam, I'll just show you guys what's possible here if I were to roam. So let's say I wanted to roam here, right? And I want to go help my bot lane. And I'm running here and I'm running here and there's nobody in this bush, but then Graves is sitting right here in this bush and he all-ins me while I go by, or Shaco or Kha'Zix, right? Like, all I could do is like try and E or W or get away, but now I'm in a river and I'm not close to my turret. And after I use my one small range dash from an E, you know, really, where am I going to go now? I'm going to get run down and get killed. So just be very careful with when you roam and go into fog of war as Caitlyn. You much rather get your gold in lane and own your lane opponent, and then rotate with your ultimate, and I'll show you guys that in a second, rotating with your ultimate to get kills, okay? So after I push this minion wave out, we have our ultimate up. I'll roam to top or bot and show you how you may want to roam with Caitlyn to get those kills.
I love a good chase.
So see if we can kill her without using our ultimate and just chunk her down and then engage with an E on her. So here, just auto, 6-shot auto, auto, and then maybe a Q, and we got her, right? So you can see, just I didn't even use the Q until I was out of range of auto. So really, really important that you save that Q when you're out of auto attack range, okay? Now that we killed her, we're going to shove the whole wave using our Q. Pick up these last hits, and then before we roam now, what you want to do is you just want to quickly check top or bottom, see who's low. In this case, bot is lower, so we're going to head there. Now when you roam, at least try and roam on the safe side of the map, on your side of the map. You can hit these blast cones for vision if you want on the way by, and you can use these to get closer, but realistically right now you can see with our R, we are in range of hitting this rise. So if he was at 25 or 50% health, we could just gank essentially from here. We wouldn't even have to run into the lane. He's a little bit lower than that, so I'm going to have to do a full gank here. Actually, I'll just show you guys like this right now. right? Like, if you were just here, you could just hit him like that, and that's your gank. You actually don't have to run all the way to the lane, okay? So that's how you want to gank with Caitlyn. Just kind of run to halfway into your jungle, go a safe way so you don't risk kind of face checking a Kha'Zix in bush, and then press R on them, okay? So here, we can put a trap behind her, actually. We can put another one behind her, see if we can catch her. It's tough to hit the traps, because they do have a little bit of a load time before they trigger. So it's more like you kind of time the traps when you're avoiding a gank or someone's already been locked up with CC, and then you put a trap down. Very difficult to land those traps while they're moving. So again, I would just save them a little bit more defensively. We tried to get a little too excited there and trap her up while she was walking. Okay, so take down the turret. That'll happen in a lot of your games, especially if the jungle is not coming to help the mid laner. You should be able to do that in a lot of your games. Maxing out that W next, and then we should be able to get a recall off here, buy the full Eclipse item, and maybe show one more gank off or a solo kill in lane. And pop off like that. So here I got no minions. I'm out of auto attack range, but I can throw a Q through the whole wave so I can thin it and kill a lot faster. And then maybe get another recall off. Or if I wanted to try and engage on her so that there's less minions, we could do that now too. So I have my headshot ready. So I'll see if I can poke her out under turret here using Qs. So you can see that Q damage. And then E, not quite there yet. If I do one more Q and then alter, I'll probably get the kill. But I'm running a little bit low on mana. So we'll just try and poke her a few more times with autos. If we get enough mana here, we'll just try and R, and I'll show you guys how much damage it can start to deal as you get some items. So here, we'll just walk up. I'm pretty sure we'll be able to auto her to death here. Or maybe you just fire a Q and finish her like that. So again, you use your Q when you're out of auto attack range. Don't use it while you're still in auto attack range. It just slows you down too much with the animation. It's not worth it. So let's go buy our full Eclipse, and then we'll come back to lane and have some fun seeing how much damage our R deals just by pressing it at like a 13-minute mark if you happen to get your first full item by then. So we'll finish our boots now, and then secondary item, we'll just run another serrated dirk, and we'll pick up another longsword because that always builds to something lethality. So let's run to mid and just finish off this video by having some fun showing you guys. If you kind of play decently, you have some decent farm numbers. You know, we're not perfect. We're like 100 CS at 13 minutes or so. It's not perfect, but it's decent. And you get a kill or two. You get some turret plates. Like, you should be able to get to your first full item by around this mark. And then let's just have fun and press R and see how much damage it deals. We'll see if we can get one of them to half health just so we can proc our Dark Harvest too. So using a Q here while we're out of range. This Ziggs wants to fight us. So here we get them both to about half health. I'll just kill her with autos, and then I'm just going to show you guys here, like, anybody that's even close to like 30%, 40% health, if they're a squishier target that doesn't stack armor, you'll just start to be able to one-shot people with your ultimate as Caitlyn. And then, you know, when you get 2 points in it, 3 points in it, it just becomes a little bit more ridiculous, and you become the sniper on the map where almost like Karthus, if anybody's at like 30, 40% health, and you're not showing like completely opposite of the map, they're going to be scared to walk up and try anything. All right, you're going to be a little bit of like a sniper god mode like that. Really, really fun to play, just because you don't have to do anything but press R. People will rage a lot and be like, oh wow, you pressed R, good for you. But that's what it's about, right? So here, again, I'm still not stopping to press Q because she's in auto attack range. This Ziggs, I'll E just to get a little bit more damage, and then I'll Q through. Now you can see the auto attack damage is just ridiculous. So just trying to, that's the complexity of playing Caitlyn, just knowing when to try and use your E and your Qs and stuff like that, but working in as many autos as you can because you're still a right-click champ at the end of the day. Okay guys, well that's the Caitlyn guide. Hopefully you enjoyed. Let me know in the comments how your games go with her, or if there's another champ you want to see next. I'll see if I can post a lethality gameplay with Caitlyn in a real PvP so you guys can check that out and see how we pop off in that one. But until then, I'll catch you guys in the next one.